Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Concussion Discussions, brought to you by Integrated Brain Centers in Denver, Colorado. I am your host, Amy Zellmer from Faces of TBI. And today I am the host and also the guest, I guess. Today we're talking about my chapter, which is how yoga helped me recover from a brain injury. And I have asked my dear friend Melissa to be here with me today. She has been one of my yoga students for the past year and a half. We've been doing Zoom yoga for the TBI tribe. And she has been joining me since last March, so about a year and a half now. And so thanks for being here, Melissa.
It's a pleasure to be here, Amy.
So basically my backstory, for those of you who might not know, I had my traumatic brain injury in 2014. I fell on a patch of black ice. I was out with my little Yorkie and it was really cold out that day. So I picked her up and was carrying her in my arm. And our driveway had a fairly steep incline to it. And I stepped on a patch of black ice. My feet went out from under me. They think I kind of instinctively did this with Pixie. So therefore I went back and landed full force on the back of my head. I knew immediately things weren't okay, but I had no idea the journey that I was about to begin. And over the next few weeks and months, I knew that yoga would help me. I had been doing yoga for about 15, 20 years at that point, and I knew yoga would help me, but I couldn't figure out what to do because I had, in addition to my brain injury, I had torn muscles in my neck, throat, chest, abdomen. I had a bulging disc at C4 and 5. I had major whiplash. And so I couldn't really move my neck much. I couldn't do anything side to side because I couldn't support my neck. Things would make me dizzy real easily. I had really poor balance and coordination. So I asked my yoga teacher to come over and help me come up with something I could do. And we came up with 5 poses. It was eagle arms, puppy dog pose, a seated forward fold, a seated twist, and tree pose holding on to a chair because I didn't have balance to stand on my own. And so I did those 5 poses every day for about 10 minutes a day. And over time, I noticed my range of motion started improving. I hadn't been able to lift my arms higher than here. I had dislocated my sternum as well. And so I couldn't get my arms higher than about here. And it took me years to get them to here. And then just in the last 2 years, I've been able to get them all the way up. So it was a journey to get there. But I truly credit yoga with helping me. Obviously finding functional neurology was the game changer for me, but yoga has been an integral part of my journey. And that is why I got my teacher training and I started working with other brain injury survivors such as Melissa. And we've currently been doing twice a week. We do yoga, and my style of yoga is very gentle. You can stay in a chair the whole time if you want. It's slow. There's this misconception out there that yoga has to be these great big balancing poses and you have to bend into these crazy positions and do all these things. And that's just simply not true. Yoga is about connecting movement to breath. That's simply at its core the easiest way to explain it. And so Melissa, I know that you have to wear your oxygen because you have, in addition to a brain injury, you have COPD and emphysema and allergies and everything else that goes with that. Yeah. But you had a brain aneurysm. In what year was that?
That was in 2010. I had a brain aneurysm that ruptured, and they actually had to fly me down to Denver, and it was all pretty scary, coma for 4 days, etc. At that time, they found two other aneurysms that were unruptured. So over the next year, I had three brain surgeries in 11 months, and they uh, coiled, and here's brain aphasia, which is um, coiled and clipped the
Mm.
other two. So those are taken care of. The one that ruptured was taken care of, and my journey outward started in about 2011. So,
And we connected. I started Amy's TBI tribe in 2015,
yep,
and
yep,
you were one of my original members in there. And
yes, I sure was.
that is how we originally got to know each other. Um, and how would you describe your journey with with my yoga classes specifically? Like, what have you noticed improve over the last year and a half?
Oh, with the yoga, it has really helped my self-confidence on the inside,
Yeah,
and with my balance and my ability to um, work my body harder every single time we get together. It's not that, go hung, hung,
go
go,
hard.
go hard, exactly. But I'm pushing myself. I'm never one to have pushed myself to be against somebody in competition or
Right.
anything like that. It's like, how far can I take myself? And that's what
Mhm.
I love about your style of yoga and your teaching of yoga, or guiding us through yoga, is that it's not a type where it's like, okay, well, Lori can do this. Let's see if everybody can do what Lori's doing.
No,
It's not that kind of a thing. And that's what I love
no,
about it. That's what I
no.
really appreciate.
And there's power in knowing your ability or your limits. And I say all the time, I give tons of variations for every pose. And I always say, and if it's causing you pain, stop. We don't want pain.
Yeah.
In the exercise world, the motto is kind of no pain, no gain. But in the yoga world, it's no pain, no pain. We don't want pain in yoga. We want mild discomfort, right? You might be stretching something that you haven't stretched in a while, and there
Well,
can
and
be discomfort.
when you talk about if your muscles are shaking, they're getting
Yes,
stronger. And I
yes,
love hearing that from you because my muscles are going shaking, shaking,
yes.
shaking.
Yep.
Yep.
When we hold a pose, we sometimes feel like we're shaking. And for some people, they don't know what that means. And that means that you're building muscle. It's a good thing. And so shaking is good. Shaking is okay. But we don't want pain, no pain, no
Okay.
burning, no shooting pains, no burning sensations. But there's power in knowing your limit. And I always, at any point you can just sit in silence as we continue with our yoga practice. Like, there's no shame in stopping and knowing your limit. And every day is so different. And part of yoga is being interoceptive and going inward and listening to our body and what it has to tell us, because our bodies tell us everything we need to know, right? But it's taking that time to just sit and reflect and pause and go inward. And that is how yoga is such a powerful tool to help us gain some self-awareness. Because especially after brain injury, some of us kind of lose that self-awareness of our bodies. And yoga is a powerful way to help us get some of that back. And there's a ton of science behind yoga and meditation and breath work, which are all part of yoga. Um, there's a ton of science. And so things that yoga can help us with are proprioception, helping us know where we are in space, visual spatial awareness, which can help with our depth perception, vestibular input. So notice the body has to know the sensations of movement. So, like if we bend into a lateral bend, our brain has to know that's what we're doing, to know that's where we are. It can also activate the parasympathetic system, help us putting us into rest and digest. That is
Right.
the biggest thing with yoga. Like the first few minutes, we sit and ground and come into our breath, and you can just feel everybody's energy. It's just like, ah. And so that's like the number one thing. If nothing else you take away from yoga, it can be to help get you into rest and digest, getting you out of fight or flight. It can also help with improved vagal tone. So, our vagus nerve is the biggest nerve in our body. It's what our brain tells our organs and the different parts of our body what to do. It helps run our autonomic system, which helps with that whole parasympathetic. Um, and so it helps us tone the vagal nerve, especially if we do any chanting or our ujjayi breath work. It helps stimulate the vagal nerve. And so overall, it just gives us nervous system resilience. It helps us
Mhm.
regulate our nervous system. So it's
Mhm.
not, I mean, it is about the movement, but it's not about getting into these great big poses, right? Like our classes tend to be very slow and gentle. Once in a while, I'll throw something in there where we're working a little bit harder, right? But we do lots of contralateral movements, so moving
Mhm.
the opposite arm and leg. We do cross lateral, crossing that midline. These are all things, if you've done any rehab with a functional neurologist, these are things that they're doing with you. These are things your PT is probably doing with you. This is what we do in yoga.
Yes.
So,
Yes. I mean, what I appreciate so much is that you take it to a point where maybe it's just a little bit further, but it's up to me if I want to go that
yes,
further. Every day is different, and every day
yes,
I feel different, and every yoga practice is different.
yes.
And walking away from knowing that you did just the right amount leaves me having a better day all day.
Yeah. And and it's always interesting the days where I'm like, oh, I don't want to do yoga today. But then I do it and I feel so much better. It's like, ah, yep, I needed
Yep.
that today. So
Yep. Exactly.
especially in the mornings if I'm kind of tired and I'm just like, ugh. And then the second we start doing yoga, it's like, oh yeah, I feel better already. So it's a really quick, it can really quickly turn your mood around. So, for anyone listening who has maybe never tried yoga or they have tried it, but they tried it at like a yoga studio where it was maybe like a core power yoga or a more high intensity yoga class, that isn't at all my style of yoga. We're very slow, we're very gentle. We stay in the chair a lot. We often don't even get out of the chair if we don't want to. And then when we do stand, you can use the chair to support you, or you don't have to stand. You get to choose. It's your choice what you want to do in class. But it's, it's important to find an instructor who knows how to work with someone with a brain injury and to make it more accessible. Because a lot of yoga studios will say they're accessible or they're for all levels, but until you've worked with someone with a brain injury, you really don't understand how to work with someone with a brain injury. And, I think that's where I have such a unique um, experience for my class because I have a brain injury and I've gone through it and I know what I couldn't do in the early parts of my brain injury. And so I feel like I bring a unique experience to the teaching. But again, yoga is about connecting your breath to your movement, going inward, getting introspective. Um, Finding a teacher who is fully informed how to work with people with a disability, and believing in yourself, knowing that you can do it. It might be a little scary the first time you come to class, but just listening to your body don't do anything that you don't feel comfortable doing. And that's what I always say in class. If there's ever anything you don't want to do, don't do it. Do what feels good in your body that day. Because like Melissa said earlier, our bodies are different every single day. One day it might want to do this, one day it might not want to do this. So just listening to your body and what it's telling you.
So
So
true.
yeah, so I offer yoga typically twice a week. Mondays and Thursdays are my typical class schedule. Mondays are in the morning, Thursdays are afternoon. And I offer it through Patreon, which we have all the links in the show notes here, but it's patreon.com/Amy Zellmer. And it's just $10 a month or $25 a month. It's very affordable. I purposely kept it affordable. You can't even go to a class for $10 at most studios. So,
At least not
yeah,
here in Colorado. No
no,
way.
yeah,
You're the
no,
best deal around. And
I
since
know.
you're accessible, it means just that much more, Amy. It really
Yeah.
does. It really does.
One of the gals in our class was just telling me the other day, she's like, if I were your business coach, I would advise you to raise your prices. But I really do want to keep it affordable because I know a lot of people are dealing, especially early in your recovery, you're dealing with not working or you're living on SSDI. And so I really want it to be accessible because I really believe everybody should be doing yoga. And if you can't make the live classes, they are all recorded and they're all in your Patreon membership portal. So you can go back and watch any of them and do any of them anytime, anywhere. And so, yeah, I really enjoy working with people in the brain injury community and helping them. It's really cool to see the progress because, you have to give it a few weeks to start feeling the results. But it's really cool to see the progress over time as people continue to be diligent in their practice. And, I also do private one-on-one. If you're just not sure, like you've never done yoga, you don't know how to do anything, we could do a one-on-one to at least get you feeling comfortable to come to one of our classes. So, yeah. So, Melissa, any final thoughts that you want to add on our yoga classes?
Well, I think the thing I appreciate the most is the fact that even though we may all be at different levels, you kind of bring us together, so that we all leave the classes feeling like we've moved a little bit forward. And
Yeah,
that's such a bonus for a teacher or a guide like you are to be able to do that. It's very difficult to find somebody who can bring a group, especially of TBIers, and,
right.
and make us all feel better by the end of 40-45 minutes.
Hmm.
So that's my biggest bonus that I get, is that camaraderie, as well as that, gosh, didn't we do well this time, kind of feeling,
Yeah,
which is sometimes very hard to find as a TPIer. So
yeah. Yeah, and there's another great resource out there for everyone as well called Love Your Brain, and they offer yoga throughout the country 4 times a year. It's offered free to survivors and caregivers. I know, Melissa, that you've done it in
yeah.
Denver. Unfortunately, here in Minnesota, we don't have any studios participating. I'm trying to get that changed. So depending where you live, you may or may not have a studio near you, but it's like quarterly that they do this. Otherwise, they have some free yoga on their website. They also have mindfulness courses,
Mhm.
and they offer mindful March. So every March for Brain Injury Awareness Month, they offer like daily mindfulness meditations. So another great resource to check out is loveyourbrain.com. So
Mhm.
thank you, Melissa, for helping me here today. I appreciate having you here. And thank you, everyone, for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. And I will see you all in the next episode. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Be sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any videos in this series. Like this video and head to Amazon to purchase Concussion Discussions.